Good to go.
All right. We are live, and the New York Mets are no longer on the West Coast.
Coming
no
home.
more fucking 10 o'clock starts, 9:40. Who gives a fuck? It's all over. Still in first place in the National League. I'm sure we're going to get into a whole bunch of stuff about the different fan bases and how.
Goddamn right we are.
I know the old man Clancy is ready to let his fucking thoughts be shared on here. But as always, folks, what do we have to do when all the fucking crazy people on Mets Twitter and Mets Facebook and all the goddamn awful people of this scourge of the earth that is social media are going crazy? We have to chill out. And that's why today's We Gotta Believe is brought to you, as always, by our friends at Coors Light, the beer that is made to chill. Whether you are fighting against your idiot Mets fan friends, you're fighting against the negativity in your own Mets fan soul, or just the typical nonsense. It's fucking getting hot and humid here in New York right now. How is it in Chicago, Kev?
You know what? I honestly got right off the plane, jumped in a rental car, came like right here, did 1 minute man, and now I'm doing this. I don't even remember what the temperature was. It's fine.
It doesn't matter. As long as you have your Blue Mountains on you, you will be cool. You will be chill because it's going to be a scorcher here for the next few days. I think we're going to be walking like a swamp. So if you need to cool out, chill out, no matter what it may be, get yourself a Coors Light, the beer that is made to chill, cold lager, cold filtered, and it is literally the beer that is made to chill. And if you want to get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Drizly or Instacart, go to CoorsLight.com/believe. Again, that's CoorsLight.com/believe. The beer of the 96ers before the season started, the beer all the way to 96 and beyond in the regular season, and the beer of the parade with cake and punch. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. That's my intro. Hit me, Kev.
If I was in New York with you guys, I would give all of you like a hearty handshake and a hug for fucking and we'll give it a fucking living the dream because we're coming home. We're coming home. Tell the world we're coming home. No more of this West Coast bullshit. We survived it. We did it. We went 5-5, which is what I think I said I would have signed for 4 and 6. I think some people wanted 6 and 4, of course, but 5-5, splitting with the Dodgers and losing one of those series and then going on to beat Trout and Ohtani, that's what you realistically sign up for when you go through those West Coast swings and you survive the gauntlet. Now, we go 5-5 on the West Coast. It happens to coincide with a team who won 10 straight games. Do the math. We won 5, they won 10. We did a completely reasonable thing that a good team does when they're across the country playing the best teams out there. They did something that you have to just tip your cap and say the Braves got hot. They finally are playing like we expected them to play, not the dog shit that they did for the first 2 months, and they closed the gap. Now, it went from 10-5 quickly in that regard. When you look at the bigger picture, which we're going to do this once, and then we're moving on from schedule talk because I can't do it. I can't talk about who's over 500 today, and tomorrow they're under, and then they're over, and then the schedule constantly changes. But you do need to look at the big picture because when the Mets were playing the dog shit teams, everybody discounted every single win. Doesn't count. They're not good. They're under 500. They're not a playoff team. You're not hitting hard balls. It's May and April. These games don't count. Then the schedule, and that's when the Braves were getting their ass kicked, right? Then the schedule flips, and they play those teams while we have a hard schedule. So looking at that entirety, and not just this last week, it's not a 5-game skid. It went from a 7-game lead up to 10, down to 5. These are completely normal fluctuations when you look at the big picture of how a schedule works over the course of 162. Now, we were winning 2 out of 3 every time. The Braves, again, tipped their cap because they swept every time. Adding that extra game, that's how you make up the difference. Now, what happens when, we come home, start to play some bad teams, and we start to fatten up again? That's where you hope these things just kind of ebb and flow. It's how a long season goes. It was never going to be a 10.5-game lead from now until, September 30th. It was always going to get closer. It was always going to end up being a dogfight. They are the defending champs. They were playing horrible. Buckle up, man. And the big picture of it all, if I told you on June 13th? What is it? Wow.
Yep.
If I asked you, would you sign for a 5-game lead over the Braves?
Not just 5-game lead. We're 2 games up in the whole National League.
The whole National League. Like new rule. You're not allowed to talk about anything negative when you're the best team in your league. I can't, I honestly, Team Thirst Trap tweeted out the stat or quote tweeted somebody, since Max went down, I think we lost like 2 games in the standings.
A half game in the standings.
Half game in the standings. Like that, plus the DeGrom L, it's remarkable what we're doing. Not only should it not be negative, the media and the fans and ESPN and Baseball Tonight and MLB Network should be talking about the Mets being one of the best stories of the year because they've taken 2 incredibly hard blows and they keep on rolling. And instead, it's this bullshit narrative. And listen, I understand it better than anybody. We all do. LOL Mets. We don't have the reputation of being the most winningest franchise out there. Last year was not a collapse. Last year was like we were playing with house money. We knew we weren't that good. That's why I don't think they went all in at the break because they knew that 4 games was kind of smoke and mirrors. Other than that, you got to go back like 15 years for all this collapse talk. So, old narratives and bullshit, lazy reputations are all anybody has to go off. Braves do everything the Mets just did. They're awesome and they're back. When the Mets do it, none of it counts because they're going to collapse. I don't know, man. I just think we've proved that, much like I said it before about like, I'd rather be steady. Whereas, the Braves have seen the lowest of lows and then they've, raged to the highest of highs, and that's unsustainable. And if hey, fellas, if they do sustain this, I don't know, we're fucked. It's the same boys across town. The Yankees, they just don't lose any baseball games ever. If that happens, then I don't know. We're not going to win. But if it returns to somewhat normal, I'm happy with the fact that we always, 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, a split here and there, and we just keep playing like 650 ball.
Yeah. Like if the Braves play 700 ball the rest of the year, you just tip your cap. You can't do anything about that.
Yeah. You're absolutely fucked. I think now what's really sickening is we finish I keep using the word gauntlet. I know it's a bit dramatic, especially when the Angels end up being, kind of crappy by the time we face them. But still, when you face Trout and Ohtani,
That's why Saturday's game didn't bother me. It's just Trout and Ohtani just showing up for a game. Like we took 2 out of 3 and the Stars won 1 game, whatever.
They're terrifying too.
Ohtani, we expected.
God bless the AL West teams have to face those guys all the fucking time. It's horrifying watching those 2 back-to-back. One's lefty, one's righty. One can fucking pitch. One's a fucking
and how crazy is the AL West that you can lose 14 in a row and still be in second place?
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on out there? It's like the upside down out there. Like I don't even understand what's happening. But when we like kind of finish our run, like, and again, I'm going to just say it one last time. I don't want to be hypocritical here because I don't want to dive too much into the schedule, but 6 more for the Braves against the goddamn Cubs and Nationals, which you have to imagine they're going to go at least 2 out of 3 on both of those, at least. So minimum, you're looking at 15-2 in their last 17, potentially 16-1, potentially 17-0. If we still have first place at the end of a 15-2, 16-1, 17-0 run, and we hopefully have our guys coming back. Again, I think it's like, you talk about withstanding somebody's best punch. We are fucking defending our asses off here, and nobody wants to give any credit, even the fucking Mets fans. It's so sickening.
And look, I want to, since Max went down, but like, oh, you guys have been playing the same teams as us. It's like, no. Since Max went down, went to Colorado. We won 2 out of 3. Same team, they swept, whatever. We had to go to San Francisco. We had to play the Phillies at home, who apparently are a good team all of a sudden.
And now what do we now? The Phillies went from dog shit in the early months, play somebody who's good, play someone above 500. To now, I'm being told that they're the team to beat and they're going to catch us. Which one is it, dickheads?
Then we had to play the Nats, who are like, oh, you played the Nats 10 times. Yeah, you've played them 3 times. You lost a series at home to them back in April. We have the same amount of losses to them as you do. And then we had to play the Dodgers, the Padres, who are the 2 other top teams in the NL. And then the Angels were on top.
Soft schedule wasn't even now that soft.
We're playing the 2 best teams in the league. They're saying, oh, we played the same teams as us. No, we played the Pirates for 7 games in September, the A's again in September, and the Rockies are 4 at home in the end of August. But that's when we play those teams that you beat up on.
Right.
Fellas, let me just tell you, if you've noticed, you haven't really seen me on Twitter that much arguing with the fucking trolls and the Mets fans, the Braves fans, whatever the fuck it may be. And you're saying, what's Clem? Is he freaking out? Is he in his own little world? Even on the text chains, I kind of just do my own thing. And let me tell you why, boys. Because In my mind, I've gone to Cohen-lina. That's right. Kunsalina, that island, that fucking awful place that we used to live in, it's been redubbed Cohen-lina. Every single day, it's 75. There's no humidity. There's a slight breeze whenever you want it from the right places, and it is fucking marvelous. You might have a little trickle here and there, a little shower, a little sun shower, maybe even like a little thunderstorm, but that's fucking it. And I'm telling you guys are getting worked up about fucking nothing. Like you say, everyone goes crazy about it, about the numbers in the standings and the Braves coming up. And it's like, oh, and we're 40-22. We're 18 games above 500 in mid-June. If you told that to us before the season started with Jake on the fucking IL and Scherzer's saying Scherzer's about to go on there, you'd be like, oh my God, it's a miracle. And yet everyone's going crazy. And again, I think a lot of it is it's trolls, it's idiots, and it's just, your typical Mets Twitter that has been broken over decades of incompetence. You guys have to just fucking come down, get a fucking beach chair, get a fucking frozen drink, and just relax right now, man. These are the good old days, baby. Don't fucking get all upset there in the good old days.
I wish we had an Uncle Stevie tweet or something. Like I had to remind myself that, not only, hopefully, I don't like to talk about it, but hopefully we get our studs back. And then, that Uncle Stevie is licking his chops, being like, we'll see what's coming at the deadline. Now, we know the Dodgers are going to do something fucking ridiculous now that Walker Buehler's hurt. But, remember what we did at the last fucking deadline? Like, we're going to make a splash in that department, too. We're not going to let this slip through our fingers by any means. Like, again, if the Braves win forever and you lose, fine. But it's not going to be due to lack of activity from management and ownership. So, like, there's good – it's like – Clem, said we're in the good times. Are we? Because the real good, maybe the great times are coming if we get our boys back and then some. And I don't know, maybe the true Frank the Tank. I don't know. He's batting, got 1,000 OPS down in AA. I don't know. Maybe we bring the kid up too. So like it's this was as tough as it gets. The Phillies and Braves haven't lost a game in a month, and I'm like, we're good, like in years gone by, we would be dead in the dirt, canceled 3 weeks ago. And, maybe they trim it to 4, maybe it gets down to 2. That's probably what this race was going to be in the first place. And instead of it just being like, it went crazy. But, water finds its level and all things even out over the course of 162. So the fact that we are still the best team in the National League, I just like, God, you guys, and I know mostly Twitter, and Clem, you're right, but it's always been this way, whether it's call-in radio or the papers, the media, or now it's social media. It's like, it's embarrassing how much you overreact. And then you win one, and it's like, okay, never mind. We won 2 out of 3. Like, we're back. It's like, God, be a fucking adult. I honestly, you know me, I think the Mets fan base is one of the worst ever, but now I'm seeing it from the opposition, the way they talk shit. I'm like, you guys are fucking morons too.
I want to touch on the Braves winning streak and Phillies old winning streak. It's over one more time. This is the first time 2 MLB teams each had losing records 50-plus games into the year, and they both won on a 9-game winning streak at the same time. Hasn't been done since the Pirates and Reds in 1899.
And it happened to us in our division. Like,
I want to thank Stats by Stats for that. Because
these things fucking. Now, I think that the Braves are much more. This is like they're going to fall off the undefeated pace, obviously, but I don't think by much. I think this is like, oh, look
there
at
he
this
is.
guy.
Kyle G has joined the chat.
Incognito mode for fucking Kyle Valentine here. What a stash on this guy. You look straight out of that Twitter account, the one that's like Super 70s Sports or whatever.
Yep.
You look exactly like that, bro. Wow. Look at you.
Nothing but compliments from everybody except for my girlfriend.
That's how it goes.
About right. But yeah, I mean, like the Braves, I think, are more here to stay because they're the defending champions and healthy now. I think the Phillies are going to probably do this kind of shit all year because they mash. So when they mash, they'll be good. When they go quiet, they'll be really bad because we know their pitching and specifically defense is going to be a nightmare. But, this is now a much more realistic version of the NL East. For a while, it was obviously, fucking fantasy world.
And this is what I came to realization with as I was kind of like being like, guys, just settle down. It's mid-June. and Mets fans finally have a baseball season to worry about. This is what baseball's supposed to be like.
Right.
You're supposed to have someone in your rear view. At some point, at least one fucking team in your rear view. And the Yankees still don't really have that. They're 8.5 up. But now we have a team that's 5.5, and then you add in all the shit from the past. But those, like, I don't worry about the 5.5. I don't worry about those numbers. My guy, Mark Weber, gave me this number. Mets teams with 40-plus wins in 62 games. 2022, 1988, 1986. Those are the numbers
are like best
right
teams
now.
in history, And you know what's funny? I hadn't really looked at all at the standings because I was just like, we're winning series every week. That's all that matters. Just stay healthy, looking at the guys that play. And, I at any given moment over the last month, if you asked me, I would have been like, I don't know, is it 7.5? Is it 10.5? I don't really know because we know that what the division leads you have in May and April and early June aren't really, it's overinflated. You know what I mean? The sample size is not there enough. So I wasn't even like counting every single day. I would scoreboard watch and see who loses, but I never even like knew the numbers. And so if going from 10 to 5 is the season's over, the Braves are back and they're going to catch you. Well, when it went from 5 to 10 with the Mets, how come it wasn't Atlanta's done? Because neither of them are a signal of really what's to come and what's going on here. Yeah. It's just and then you throw in the Mets bias. It's like, well, if the Braves were the ones opening up to a 10-game lead, it would be over because the Braves don't blow it. Well, okay, whatever. Use your tired old narratives.
And I want to touch on this. Since Memorial Day, what if I told you this is a team that went 4-9 since Memorial Day? They got swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates at home, and they only have a half-game lead in their division. You know what team I'm talking about? The Los Angeles Dodgers. That everyone thinks is the best team ever.
We can't say a bad word about them. They're the best. They're untouchable. They'll be fine, and they probably will be because they are the Dodgers. But
it's just baseball season.
Not the same for the Mets right now.
There's still 100 games left.
Yes.
That's the thing. Where like you think about it, we've already gone through like this marathon, what it feels like, but there's still 100 games of baseball left.
I mean,
and it's you're gonna see who's the team at the end of July. That's pretty much when
the West Coast. The West Coast trip felt like fucking 30 games in itself.
It was a nightmare. That stat that we only play, I think, 3 games after 7:40 p.m. Eastern time the rest of the year. I was like, that actually affects my life, my day-to-day life, more than any of these other stats. That is fucking absolutely incredible. And again, I'd rather have it be this consistent, slow and steady. We're the tortoise, they're the hare. If we were doing 10-game losing streaks and 10-game winning streaks, I would be dead by now. But we just stay the course. And anybody who compares this team to last year, as if we didn't just go add Marte, Escobar, and Canna as everyday players and revamp the bullpen and get this new version of Edwin Diaz who's unfucking touchable. It's just not comparable. Last year, we had a 4-game lead, mostly due to bad play from the rest of the division and not, due to our own success. And then, they just eventually ran out of gas because they weren't that good of a team. Overnight, Epler and Cohen added, 3, 4, 5 type players who just are like everyday players and everyday impacts. And so it's just not, you can't look at 2021 and 2022 as the same at all.
And then you're comparing our manager, Buck Showalter, to the third base coach of the New York Yankees. So, let's just remember the differences between last year and this year. There's a ton. The stat I was most impressed with that I saw this entire weekend, 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas for $44 in fucking end. How is that possible? How is that
in this economy? In this economy, Clem, that should be $400 with inflation. Although I was told when I tweeted about that. So if you didn't see behind home plate, the billboard said 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas for $44. Tickets alone should be $44. One of them, let alone 4 of them, let alone all that other shit. But I got a lot of responses saying that the food in Anaheim is like the worst ballpark food in all the land, and that the hot dogs are barely even edible. So still maintain that Barstool the Ballpark is the greatest deal in all of sports. Go to our social media and click the link where you can get tickets to our next outing. It's a Tuesday. It's a weekday one against the Astros where you get all you can drink beer plus 1 meal, all for like $90. So I'll still take that deal. But yeah, the 4444444 is fucking nuts.
the marketing team there, good job by them. Again, I went to the Angel Stadium and I was thinking, I'm like, what was there about the Angel Stadium? I was trying to remember it. I'm like, oh, it was like the most forgettable stadium I've ever been to. Oakland was a dump. I remember that very clearly. My wife and I went to every California ballpark. We went on vacation there years ago. And I was like, the Angels one was completely forgettable. Speaking of forgettable, I take back everything bad I ever said about Major League Baseball, not marketing Mike Trout. Because Mike Trout, who I love, who was like my favorite player.
I'm so happy. As soon as you said speaking about forgettable, I was like, please do it. Please do it. He is.
That was the worst interview I've ever heard. He's just so goddamn boring. I love him too. Like he's just, it's just not his thing. And then, hey, he's good at one fucking thing. He's awesome at hitting baseballs. Awesome.
Yes. And I almost, first of all, that segment sucks in the first place. Yes. It's never going to be good. Nobody's there to put on a show. They're all just giving you bullshit answers. And especially like when he was on deck, they decided to do it. Like, and terrible timing. Should have just pushed it. So that's never good. But boy, I mean, can you give me something, Mike? Unless this is all a grand plan of his to be like, I'm the most boring man in the world. So you never, people are like, oh, he could be so much more marketable and make so much more money. Like, how much do you need, guys? Like, he's living this life of privacy and like subtlety that maybe he loves. But like, yeah, let's just stop trying to smash that square peg in that round hole because he is, I mean, it's like talking to, you're one of the most interesting, successful, badass athletic people to ever live. Can you talk about like that at all in a way that's interesting? It is just so, and with maybe the worst haircut I've ever seen in my whole goddamn life. The only thing that baseball could do, the only way to salvage it is to make it his shtick. Like, I am the most boring man in the world. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of becomes funny where it's like, if you're doing the interview, it's like, how boring can Mike Trout get? And he tells a story about like tying his shoe yesterday. And it's like, wow, this guy really is the most boring man in the world. Because otherwise, he is just like enough.
Speaking of tying shoes, Edwin Diaz, 4 straight strikeouts after tying his shoe, by the way.
Scared me though, because the first couple pitches after he tied his shoe were like off. And I was like, oh no, he should have just left it alone. But dude, a 5-out save from Diaz with 5 strikeouts, including Mike Trout, is the stuff of fantasy land that I thought we would never. I had always said to myself when he got good again, well, we'll never get a season like 2017, I think it was, when he was awesome. And it's like, oh yeah, we didn't. We got something fucking better where he strikes out half the people he faces.
And we made it through that entire West Coast trip without the West Coast blown save.
Yes.
So shout out to Edwin Diaz
for
not motherfucking us.
Is different.
And there was one writer, it's like, oh, Buck Showalter can say he doesn't care about what the Braves are doing, but he's using Edwin Diaz for 5-out saves. Like, yeah, dude, he's facing Mike Trout. Like, I want our best pitcher versus their best hitter 10 times out of 10. 2, Edwin Diaz was used twice that whole road trip. Mm-hmm. So it's not like we're just running him into the ground. He's not even top 60 in innings pitched among relievers. Like,
and he went out there tomorrow and fucking carved him up. If it blew up in his face, we could, you could maybe make the argument. But he went out there. He needed to get work. He should have gotten the work against the best hitter, and then did the work. It's like, what are we talking about here?
And by the way, that just feeds into the narrative even further of like all the fans who are like, oh, this is going to fall apart. It's because the journalists know all they have to do is talk about the Mets, and that's guaranteed to get you clicks from every fan base. Mm-hmm. From ever since 2007 moving forward, it's the Mets are going to fall apart. Look at what the Mets did on the off field. But like now it's not the case, and they're still just trying to push that narrative. Mm-hmm. And all of us feeding into it are just going to continue to have them do it. Yeah. Why else would they change their headlines? They're getting the clicks. Andy Martino made an entire career off of it, and not a single fucking Met fans like that guy.
Yeah, fuck that dude. So wait a minute. Is contact like 57% don't even make contact?
Yes.
Pitches or batters? Like at.
I'm pretty sure it's pitches in the zone, maybe. Well, swing and strike rate, that means like he's like getting the most whiffs.
Yep.
And yeah,
XFIP is fielding independent pitching. So
your expected FIP. It's a very nerdy stat, but basically Edwin Diaz is really good in every metric you use. How about that?
Fire up the fucking t-shirt machine. Edwin Diaz is good. It's another fucking shirt we're gonna pump out there for all the fucking mouth breathers that can't fucking recognize that shit, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, he is. Maybe unless it was fucking Mariano Rivera, maybe every time I'm in the 8th or 9th inning, I'm just going to be a basket of ball of nerves. But And so when Edwin's up there, I still am just like, but it's no longer him anymore. It's just the circumstances. Because I mean, he has done everything he needs to do to prove that he is just that dude. And he's going to get you strikeouts when you need it, which is huge too, by the way. Runner on second base, you move him over to third, you get a sac fly, and that's the game. Well, when you get struck out every fucking time, that's not going to happen either, you know?
If I did like the Men in Black, like just erase your memory of 2019, you think he's the best closer in franchise history.
That's 1,000% correct. It's just like the last little lingering bit. And also just everybody, Benitez and Looper and everybody that like, it's just always been an adventure. And sometimes it feels that way. I'll tell you what, the first strike, I think, to Trout, where he swung through it, and it was the most beautiful swing I've ever seen. And if he connected, it was going to go 700 feet, but he whiffed right through it. And then 102 to end the game. I don't think I've ever seen him hit that on the gun. That's the fastest he's ever thrown.
No,
right?
I think they said it's like the third fastest pitch he's thrown or something, but like
he's gone over 102.
I think that's what Sarah Lang said. So.
What he's not? He hasn't hit 103.
It was 101.6 apparently. According
so
to
rounds up to 102.
So it might be 101.7.
So that is just filth. I saw the overlay that Pitching Ninja posted of the 91-mile-an-hour slider and the 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Looks to wind up exactly the same. The balls on top of each other perfectly with a 10-mile-an-hour, 9-mile-an-hour difference. Filthy.
And his stuff's there, but it's his mindset because 2017, he would just calmly go out to the mound and just fucking shove every single inning for his record-breaking saves that year. So it's like his stuff is there, but it's just like his confidence of like, I'm going to throw whatever I want and they're not going to touch it. That's a whole different level of mentality. Because if they're going to put him in the 8th, not even saying for 2 innings, but when Buck put him in for the 8th and then somebody else for the 9th, he's like, oh yeah, I'll come in whenever you need me because you know that I'm the guy that's going to get the job done for you. It's just, if you have that type of confidence, there's no losing that as long as the stuff stays where it's at.
You know who's probably not that guy? Puerto Rican.
Oh, yeah. Thought you were going to say number 34. But
so he's really not that guy. He's just a loser.
Yeah, that goes without saying. But Lugo, too. I mean, it's just Diaz out there, man. That's the bridge to Diaz. We just got to fucking find a way. And you know who is that dude? Pete Alonso.
Oh, yeah.
Pete Alonso is back to those rookie year ways where like every single one of his home runs and every single one of his hits was in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning with the lead, to take the lead or tie the game. He is just a cool, calm, fucking big fat polar bear who you could just count the fuck on him, man. Like it's all season long, I've talked about the differences between the teams and what I've felt differently. And even when we're playing well, someone comes up to the plate, Lindor, even a good player. And I'm still like, they're probably not going to get a hit, but maybe they will. That's like my mindset. Pete steps up in a spot and I expect it to happen now. That is, for a Mets fan who's been battered and broken, that's a new mentality that we're not quite used to, where it's like, I need a home run from Pete. He'll give it to you sometimes. I need a base knock from Pete. I need a survival run. Like, he'll fucking do it more often than not, it feels like.
And how about that little thinker up the middle with fucking Joey Cora?
Oh, yes.
He is a madman.
Dude.
I love that mentality, though. For like the playoffs, we're never going to strand somebody at third base.
No. Joey Greenlights is a menace out there. But man, that is.
And those two players, we thought we lost them last Tuesday. Like, Marte looks perfectly fine. Pete, no ill effects of the hand.
I spent arguing with people. Nah, man, the Mets, too many injuries. I was like, nobody went on the IL this week. Nobody joined Scherzer and DeGrom. No injuries happened. Dodged a couple more bullets because that's what this team does this year. They don't fall apart. They don't continually get injured. I'm also thinking maybe there's a chance that are you guys watching The Boys?
I have to catch up still. No, I have to catch up still.
There might be a chance that he's got that V24 shit because he's unbreakable, Pete Alonso. Like, he's getting in car accidents where he should be dead. He's taking fastballs off his fucking bony hands. Nothing. The only problem with his hand was from when he was a spaz trying to slide head first. It looked like he put his hand in a meat grinder. When he said it's just a normal bear paw, I was like, this idiot knows that he's just a big goofy bear lumbering around like, I don't know, sometimes my hand looks like this, like whatever.
What's funny is I think in college he said he played through a broken hand somehow.
I'm sure he did. He's a big old meathead. I love him. I mean, he's just perfect. He is, it's like having a guy like that. And that's why I hate to do it, but I got to tip my cap to Aaron Judge, because as good as Pete is, imagine, like double everything he's doing. It's fucking, maybe as soon as we get some of the juice balls when we come home to Flushing, maybe we'll get some of that as well. But, at 280 with like 18 home runs and like almost 60 RBIs, it feels great. Imagine if it's over 300 and 20 something home runs. It's like the fact that there's guys out there even performing better than him is crazy to me, because it feels like every single time I turn around, he's getting another RBI.
Mm-hmm.
That was my biggest takeaway from the trip. It's that you go out there, you come home with the 500 record, and the two guys you thought you were going to be down are just fine. They're fine. Our Marte, when he was like running to second and stuff, and he was bending over at some point.
Yeah.
He was just, I think, getting something like shoe done or something. And I was like, oh shit, did he tweak something? And it's like, nope, everything is fucking good. He comes up. By the way, shout out our boy Francisco Lindor, giving him. He does that a lot too. He'll talk to people about what he sees from the pitcher. Pete hits a fuck bomb the next fucking at bat.
Dude, those little things that matter so much. Like, if it's enough that ESPN picked it up and Pete called it out. I mean, that's your, we've seen him do it to the pitchers on the mound. We're seeing him with the hitters now. Like, who knows what else is going on in that clubhouse and how much he's helping.
And Lindor had a quote last night in Boast that I really liked. He said he doesn't want to hear about wait till Scherzer and DeGrom are back. He doesn't want anybody to be deemed the savior just because we are a good team. And it'd be unfair to those guys to say they're going to save the season. Like, no, we're just a really good fucking team.
Bro, there's nothing to save.
Yeah.
There's nothing to save. If we had blown the lead and we were falling out of contention or whatever, it's like there's nothing to save. There's two guys coming that are going to make us better, but you're not saving shit.
And it sounds like Scherzer's ahead of his rehab too. Up until now, the Paragaza reported, he's doing good in his rehab. We may see him at some point very soon. So
what I said was have him do his rehab starts with Alvarez behind the plate, so those two can get a feel for each other, bring them both up at the same time, and just butt fuck the rest of the league.
Yep.
And again, not only are our guys not getting hurt, but the guys are coming back. Scherzer's looking good. Milgo came in. He wasn't great, but I always give one start after a stint where you're hurt to come back, and I feel like he'll be fine this week when he pitches.
You're an Obi-Wan guy. Cohen probably bought that tube of water to just throw them in to start
back the tank. Throw them in the back the tank. I wouldn't be fucking surprised.
And Taijuan Walker, I don't know if you guys talked about it before I jumped on, but 10 strikeouts up until this point. He's only been throwing 4 or 5 innings with 1 or 2 strikeouts a game. If he's going to be that guy again with Bassett on the downturn, it just seems like every time someone's on a downward, someone else just shoots right up. It's insane.
I think the shadows really helped out Taijuan last night. We still had to make your pitches, and he did. So
that's a good point. I was kind of wondering that too, because I saw Taijuan Walker, his K per 9 has been low all season, and I'm just like, where the fuck did this guy come from?
I think he had 7 in his last 3 starts, and he put together 10 last night.
Playing games at that time is just it's insane. Why do they even do it? It's like because
they had to have us on Sunday Night Baseball the same weekend the Giants and the Dodgers are playing. I don't know why we were at a Sunday night game, but whatever.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
it's
probably
because that blonde guy they thought might be pitching, and
he's
pussy, dude. I said he learned from Alex Cooper. He learned the duck 9,000, duck in the Mets an absolute bitch. No other reason. Don't tell me any other bullshit. You had 6 days rest. And you need more? Get the fuck out of here. That is 100% just to avoid the Mets. No other reason why. And I don't know if that's his call, and then he's a big fat floppy pussy. I don't know if it's someone else's call, which I think makes him more of a big fat floppy pussy because he doesn't control his own shit, and he can't walk in there and be like, no, I'm pitching today. Either way, no matter how you cut it, Charmin soft. Ice cream soft. The fact that we didn't get to see him, whatever, man. I'm done. Close the book on that now. Had we had a good head to head where one side could have won the battle, it would have been fun for just for the fans and shit. But now that's not going to happen. Unless we somehow see you in the World Series,
not going to happen.
Syndergaard story.
Yep.
Forget it. I mean, that is crazy. As much as I do think the Mets are good, and I think they'll kill you, death by 1,000 base hits and all that. We're not. we're not duck worthy. Like, go out there and fucking play, man. It's insane. Who else is going to do it? Not you?
He's on 8 days rest versus the Dodgers tomorrow night, so he should be very, very sharp.
When you have 6 days rest, your excuse cannot be, we need to give him a little more rest. You can say he tweaked this, say he's got a blister. Blisters always play, but you can't say he needs rest when he's on 6 already. Come on.
And the best part for us is we have a day of rest today, Monday off before we face the Brewers coming up for the next 3 games, which, again, like the Brewers are just they're kind of like the Angels, where it's like this looked a lot tougher a few weeks ago than it does right now, right? So I'm feeling pretty good.
But also much like the Angels, like on that skid, it's like I always hate facing guys when they're on a brutal losing streak because the numbers have to even out eventually. But I don't know. Maybe they'll just go on an Angels-like streak where they just keep on losing. What?
Like, do you think that they play better coming back from the West Coast now? They're like getting the hours.
Yes.
They're gonna be playing earlier. It's just like, my body feels fresher. I'm gonna have more energy type of deal. Like, I feel like that could play because, I mean, just staying up, like you were saying, it took like 30 games. It took like 3 years off my life having to stay up. Now they're sleeping in their own bed. They get to see their families again. They're off day today. Like, they're rejuvenated tomorrow. I think that it's gonna be like a good time to jump out ahead early.
Honestly, we have to do like research about this. This felt like the longest West Coast trip of my life. And I just think it's because I'm old and I have kids. But all these younger people are saying the same thing. There was something up. Maybe it was the fact that there was that other West Coast trip not that long ago and it kind of piled up. Plus, it's like with the Corona world we live in, everything's just kind of different. Bro, I don't know what it is, but there's something that's amiss right now.
There's something going on. Everyone is extra dramatic about this season. Like, I'm seeing it. It's always the Mets, but I'm watching Braves fans act like they won the World Series now. Phillies fans going crazy like they made it back. We've got losing streaks in the teens. We've got winning streaks side by side. Shit is just very heightened. Juice balls, dead balls. Social media is at its highest ever. Everyone's on Twitter. Everyone's fighting. It's like, it's not just the Mets and the West Coast. It's just the season, and I'm doing it too. I'm hiding in the kitchen. I'm keeping my eyes closed. I have my rituals and my routines. Something is up with 2022 being like the year of the most dramatic baseball of all time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's some weird shit. So we got coming up now in the next series, Bassett, Peterson, McGill. So it's Bassett, Hauser. Hauser is 3.92 ERA. Bassett obviously has been shitty. Our boy Mets 2128 is in the chat. I see you, buddy. We'll get you on a different episode. We can't do this episode. We have a number we have to a hard out where we have to get out of here. And then we have Peterson, Burns, and Corbin Burns. Obviously, he's fucking sick, 2.48 ERA. But the last 2 games, he's got hit pretty hard by the Phillies and the Pods, so he might be, struggling coming in. And then we have Aaron Ashby against Ty Lore, big drip motherfucking McGill. So,
and look, if we hit Hauser and the last Ashby, if we hit those guys, I'm happy with that. If we just don't hit Burns, I'm not going to lose sleep over that. Just as it's the reigning Cy Young. And then with the Marlins series, we had to face Sandy Alcantara, most likely, who's the favorite for Cy Young right now. So
yep. So just get ready for
that. Name that just sends shivers down my spine. The Marlins scare me, man. The Marlins scare me just as much as the fucking.
I think it's better than the Phillies. I really do.
And just in general, historically, the Marlins are always a thorn in my side. They've got a lot of swagger, a lot of like young guys who don't give a fuck. It just feels like I want to make sure, and I hope they do with guys like Buck. Like, don't take it lightly. Make sure every fucking series, especially against guys like that, you take very seriously.
Buck's a step on your throat kind of guy. Where it's I want to be up 10 by the All-Star break just so everyone can talk about how good we are at the All-Star break.
Oh, that would be great, man.
Mm-hmm. The Marlins, they always have that one pitcher, like in this case is Alcantara. Then they have like Jesus Aguilar, just fucking love. He's just like a guy who's giving everyone hugs. Everyone seems to like him no matter what team. Jazz Chisholm seems like a motherfucker.
The Marlins don't even like him.
Did you hear that, though? That whole meeting? Carl blogged about it, where apparently that whole meeting they had was about how everyone hates Jazz Chisholm. And they had Natalie made them talk
that, where it's like,
it got leaked.
Unless you're winning like the World Series.
It got leaked, and then the Marlins made his picture their profile pic on Twitter.
But downplay it.
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing about this Marlins series is that it's at home. It's at Citi Field, 4-game series, by the way. And if you want to get your tickets to that and you got to get loud and make the Mets fans' presence known, you got to go to Game Time. It's the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports, the only place to get the best, cheapest last-minute tickets. You want to live that Stu Feiner life, get on that get those seats right down low where you can freaking talk to Jazz Chisholm. You got to go to Game Time. So what do, Kev? You download the Game Time app. You go to the account tab to create a login, and you redeem code BELIEVE, BELIEVE, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time. Last-minute tickets. Lowest prices guaranteed. As of right now, those tickets, $15 and dropping for the Marlins game. We have night games. We have day games. Anyone can go. There's even a Monday day game, too, which I kind of love, that there's a little Monday day game. I believe that's I think some people are off for Juneteenth on that Monday. So it's a perfect way to get out to the ballpark. I want to take the kids out to a game. We haven't been to a game yet this year. So get your Game Time app against the Marlins. I think I'm more scared.
That's a 1 o'clock game or 12 o'clock?
1 o'clock, 1:10.
Maybe we'll try to do that. Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, we'll try to do that. I think I fear the Marlins more than the Brewers right now, too. Like in this stretch here, these next 7 games.
I mean, I've watched a ton of Sandy Alcantara. He's by far the best pitcher this year, so I'm dreading when we have to face him this weekend.
Yeah, he's disgusting. None of it's easy, man. It's like the location is easier, but these teams are still good. We're not. I think after that is when we get back to like the Nats and play some like softer teams.
Our early July schedule, it gets a little more cushiony. I think we have like the Rangers, the Reds,
yeah. But I mean, as we've learned, dude, baseball, that's baseball, Susan. Good teams go through bad stretches, bad teams get hot. It's just every series, 3, 4, whatever games it is, play them all like they're fucking the postseason, because they basically are going to be this year. It's going to come down to – how about this? We'll wrap up on this. How many games do you think the NL East champion, whoever it may be, will win by?
I'll go 5.
5 for Meek.
6.
Ooh.
Kev?
I'm going to say – I'll throw it back to 2021. I was going to say 3 and be pessimistic, but I'll say 4.
9. Suck my dick, National League East. We are going to fucking the Mets. It's kind of like when they make the playoffs. The Mets don't always make the playoffs. When they do, they make noise. The Mets don't always win the NL East, but when they do, they usually win it going away. We're going to win it going away, and all these fucking goddamn idiots from our own fan base to the other fan bases and everyone in between is going to finally shut the fuck up, because this team is good. These are the good old days. Enjoy them. This team. I don't even know what to say anymore, boys. I'm living in Cohen. This is
3 little words, buddy. 3 little words. Gotta believe.
Gotta believe.